I'd like to call the meeting to order. And our first order of business is swearing in new representatives. And we have Joseph Alioli, who is going to be an alternate for Bill Leone. Royal Calkins, Bill's former alternate, cannot perform that duty anymore. So, Joe, come on up here.
We'll be clapping again after he's sworn in.
Okay, Joe. I'm sorry. All right. So everybody, please, again, conversations down. Joe, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to those constitutions, that I will uphold and honor the bylaws of the Monterey County Democratic Committee, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties about which I am about to enter. All right, congratulations. Okay. So this is now an opportunity for public comment, which is items that are not on tonight's agenda. And I ask you to please limit your comments to a minute. Is there anyone who has something that they want to share? Yes.
I just have the MBTA teachers are looking for a place to hold their retirement party because it's going to be a lot of people, maybe up to 350 people. So the largest venues want to charge us, well, all the money that we have in our account. So right now they're tentatively having a tent at Seaside High so I mean, if anybody knows of any big venue, like the Labor Hall or something like that in Monterey area, Arena, Carmel, that would take us for cheap, retired teachers, please let me know so that they don't have to have their party in the lawn of Seaside High. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're not going to have a conversation.
No,
okay. Any other area?
Two announcements. First of all, I'm doing a mailer for Senator Lonnie on Thursday at the Center for Change in Seaside between 12 and 6. Come on by. We'll have pumpkin pie. Whipping cream is optional. Happy hour from 5 to 6. We got about 1,500 fundraising letters to get out. And then that's an announcement and invitation for Bill's event on April 6th at the Hyatt. So just throwing that out, and I'll send you an email back up. Thank you.
Okay, so if you want to help out, Bill Monning, that will be 12 to 6 at the Center for Change on what day?
This Thursday, March 1st.
This Thursday.
12 to 6.
Okay. I thought I saw a hand, Adam.
So I've just come back from the CTA meeting down in Salinas with Deneen Newman Augustus and the superintendent of Monterey County Schools. Teachers down there are facing some difficulties with their board, so anybody interested in showing solidarity, or certainly especially if you're from the Salinas Valley area and the Gonzales area, they could definitely use your support. As I understand it, there's another board meeting tomorrow evening. And if you have any questions, feel free to come talk to me later.
Can you send an email maybe to Elena, Karen, and I? Okay. Thank you. Dominic?
Hey, just got any signatures for nomination papers for both Jimmy Panetta and Ana Caballero, so don't be surprised if I don't need to sign tonight. I think everybody here is CD20, less people here.
Do you want to just send it around?
Yeah.
Is there anything Jimmy, so just make sure you fill it out accurately and you sign it, right?
I'll send Jimmy's out, because I know everybody here is for professional discipline.
Right.
That's it, we'll just make sure if you've already signed one, don't sign it, but if you haven't, please sign it.
Okay. And then for the rest of you, if you are in 8030,
No, SC12.
oh, SD12, see Dominic after the meeting.
And I got an app to check your address so you can find out who you are.
Also,
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements on non-agenda items? All right, not seeing any.
Yeah.
Wes?
So I went to City Hall, West White District, went to Salinas. I went to City Hall a couple weeks ago and kind of challenged all 4 of them, actually the whole 7 of them, to an election. And we're looking for support. The ADM's 30, actually, they already set up a Facebook event at the Pizza Factory at 6 o'clock next Wednesday. You can fit 65 people. We're just looking for, trying to develop what kind of character traits are we looking at the candidate, what kind of qualifications, what kind of, integrity. Trying to look at doing a sweep to actually take control of the city and start treating people better. So next Wednesday, Salinas Pizza Factory, 6 o'clock.
Next Wednesday, Salinas Pizza Factory,
Yeah, the 7th.
7 o'clock.
No, the 7th, March 7th.
For March 7th. Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no other requests for public comment, we're going to move on. Are there any requests to modify the agenda?
anybody's
Okay,
got to
seeing
leave
none.
early?
Why does that matter?
You already talked to me.
Moving on then. So, as you know, we've asked clubs to sponsor different speakers for different topics of interest, and Marina Democratic Club is going to make a 30-minute presentation on just water.
Thank you. I'm Dave Burnett, president of the Democratic Club. I'm joined by our vice president, Tom Moore, and our treasurer, Paul Paul. We're here to give some information about an issue that is near and dear to the folks of Marina, but it is vitally important to all citizens on the peninsula, dare I say, the entire region. And to that end, we're going to do abbreviated presentations. One of them is let me introduce the general manager of the Green Coast Water District, Keith Vandermountain, and he's going to be presenting information about issues that are significant in the region. So Keith, if I could...
Do we want to kill the lights or?
You don't want to do that, Dan?
I'll do it for
Well, thank you first and foremost for having me here. I know the agenda said Citizens for Just Water. I think both Kathy and I are speaking for the community of Marina and our community. So even though it says Marina Coast, I think you'll see that what we have to talk about tonight, we're really talking about the same things. And we talked about regional water, and I think that was the focus of what I wanted to point out in the presentation tonight, is how Marina Coast is so key to all the regional efforts. And I imagine a lot of you have probably heard so much about water, know a lot about water, know about the desal plant. I'm hopeful that I can add or shed a little bit of light as to why that's so important to Marina Coast and what role Marina Coast plays not only in that project, but in all of the projects that are really going on right now with water. So Marina Coast is key, and for a few reasons. We've been around for quite a while, over 50 years, and so there's a lot of experience that we have with regard to water supply and service. This is a map of our service area here. That's Marina there, and a lot of the Ord community that we currently serve. These areas are areas that will be slated in the future for redevelopment in the form of corridor. Marina Coast was one of the pioneers in recycled water and desalinated water. We were one of the first to use it in the area, and we've been a leader in water conservation for as long as I can remember. It's something that we're well known for. But I think one of the things that most people don't realize is that Marina Coast owns key facilities within its district, and there are key facilities right around and near the district that make it so central to what is going on with all of these projects. And I have some drawings here that will probably scare you in a second, and I will only go through them real quickly just as more examples. But the first thing that you'll notice is that Marina Coast is not made up of just marina. There are 9 different land use jurisdictions that the district serves. You have the city of Marina, you have state parks, then you have CSUMB, I know it's hard to read, you have UCM Best, you have city of Seaside, you have the county of Monterey, you have Del Rios, the city of Monterey, and I probably missed somebody in there. But needless to say, there's lots of different council, boards, managers that are involved in water supply decisions in this area. And Marina Coast is really responsible for ensuring that there's a sustainable water supply for their development plans and cities, for what they need to serve their residents. And so when we're thinking water supply for Marina Coast, already with just in our district itself, it's a regional view. And there's multiple parties, multiple interests, and we really have to think of all of those different interests. And when you do that, there's really only two ways you can move forward. As we know, you either collaborate, you look for ways to work together, you end up litigating. And the preferred route in most cases is collaboration, and usually when that fails, you have the other two. And so I wanted to kind of point out some of the key projects going on and kind of give you a real status as to where things are going in this area, especially with regard to the desal project.
What are the blue dotted lines?
Because of the time restraints, can you hold your comments to the end? Appreciate it.
I should point those out because they're important. These blue dotted lines represent different subbasins in the Salinas Valley aquifer. Our service area overlies 3 different subbasins, which yet again also adds to the complexity of the area. I'm not going to go through this in detail. What I wanted to point out is there's a current project going on where our regional urban water augmentation program, Pure Water Monterey, and Seaside Aquifer Storage and Recovery, we're moving forward on a project today. In fact, we just had our groundbreaking on the project last week to build this pipeline. It goes right through our area that takes water from the treatment plant down to the Seaside Basin aquifer. So we own this pipeline. It's essential so that the water that's recycled here can end up down here. It's also essential because that water serves our irrigation demands, taking us off the groundwater. It also serves the golf course down here, taking them off groundwater. In the future, this water could also be used to inject it in our basin for future supply needs. And as you can see, the regional treatment plant, this pipeline, and then the Seaside ASR project are all in or next to the district, and this project would not occur without facilities through the district. In addition, we own another pipeline that allows us in the future to come down and serve the Del Rios and the Monterey area down here. That pipeline is also used by CalAm to take Carmel River up and also put into the ASR facilities. And all of that water ends up going to the CalAm service area. So these pipelines are very critical to allowing the ASR project in Seaside to work, to connect it to the treatment plant. Another key facility, the Salinas River comes right down through here, right by the treatment plant. There is an existing rubber dam diversion facility at that point that allows water to be diverted and used for the CSIP program, which is a Catskill Seawater Intrusion Program. That water is used for agricultural demands, allows them to have additional water other than pumping to get them off the aquifer. That water there can be also diverted during storm events. Currently, there's about 200,000 acre-feet a year that in storm events goes out to the ocean. This is not water that's used in any beneficial use. We have a property right adjacent to it that could take that water and percolate that into the ground, use that stormwater that's not being used, and use that as a seawater intrusion barrier, and also use that for potable water uses and to get us off the groundwater. So we have a key piece of property adjacent to a current diversion facility off the Salinas River, and we have knowledge of water that is currently, on any given year on average, a significant amount that's just storm flows going out to the ocean. So when we look at Salinas River diversion, CSIP, in our Armstrong Ranch property, again, facilities that are right there, right next to the district, that could help with regional water supply solutions. And then finally, and I'm going to go into this project a little bit later, right along the coast, just to the north of the district, is the slant well desal project. So that project has slant wells that go into the aquifer to the 180-400 set basin right there, full groundwater. Well, Marina Coast is a groundwater sustainability agency in both the Monterey subbasin and the 180-400 subbasin. So we have an obligation to in both of these subbasins look at the impact of that project to ensure that they're following SGMA, they're following the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, and that there's sufficient rights for that project. Because that project, as it exists, isn't an ocean water project, it's a slant well, brackish groundwater project. And so I'll go into that later. Additionally, this project envisions that it'll send water back down to the pipeline that we own again and down to the ASR. So again, facilities right there into the district for the slant well that really puts us at the center of how are we going to collaborate, how are we going to work through to make sure that this works for everybody. The RUAC Pure Water Monterey project has been a success when it comes to collaboration. Monterey One Water, MCWD, reached an agreement last year to where we would join forces in building this pipeline so that only one pipeline would have to be built and not two. And this saved a significant amount of money both for our ratepayers and for Monterey One Water. And we are now on track to produce a new water supply of 4,100 acre feet in 2019. So this is the first significant water supply project to come online. And this wouldn't happen without money. So that was a very big success. Additionally, we continue to work with Fora and Monterey One Water to see other opportunities for this project to maybe expand it even further so that we can use even more water from this project. There are certain areas where we're still challenged. I think when we look at expansion efforts, there's still going to be areas where we'll need to collaborate over source water rights. Different individuals claim that they have some of that source water being used, and so that's something we're going to have to continue to work with all parties on to make sure that we can move forward on the project. Armstrong Ranch, as I pointed out, was right next to that Salinas rubber dam diversion facility. There is a potential collaboration here for a significant amount of water that can be captured and used both north and south of Salinas River. So both for the marine water community and for ag interests. It reduces pumping, increases supply, prevents seawater intrusion. But we're still at a point here where we're really stuck more into the challenges of figuring out who's going to work with us on this project. There's an existing diversion permit. There's also claims to others saying all river flows are theirs regardless of whether or not it just goes out to the ocean unused. And then also if the slant well desal project goes in, it would essentially kill this project. And I'll show you why later. So here's the Armstrong Ranch project looking at it from a cross-section in the aquifer. If you were to divert water from the Salinas River in those storm events, the biggest problem we face today is that there's so much volume in the water that goes out to the ocean, there's simply no way to capture and store it. This property that we have here allows us to take that water, put it through a treatment process, and deliver it correctly. And any excess flows we percolate into the dune sand aquifer is what we call it. And when there's, when there's no flow in the river, then we can extract that water. This water helps to keep salt water back and makes its way down into the lower aquifer. So it also has benefits in regard to keeping salt water at bay and being a resource for future water supply. And this, I'm losing my voice here. This could potentially provide up to 8,000 acre feet a year of additional water. And it's a project that was originally started in 2013, and we completed a feasibility study last year that looked at this project and showed that it was a feasible option moving forward. And then as far as sustainable groundwater management, we recently entered into a collaboration agreement between the Marina GSA, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, and the Salinas Valley Basin GSA. That was a huge success because up until that point, I think there was a lot of conflict about how GSA was going to be managed, how we were going to manage different subbasins. What that also allowed us to do is we were able to go in jointly to apply for grant funding from DWR, and we'll find out tomorrow. They extended the public comment period, but it looks like we are in line to get $1 million ourselves to develop our groundwater sustainability plan. Salinas Valley Basin GSA, I think, is $1.5 million. So this was a huge success. If we didn't work together, we wouldn't have gotten the grant funds. We would not have scored well. And so this is an area I believe collaboration has shown to be working, in an area where we hope we continue to do that. We recognize, though, as we start to put these plans together, and I put down here that, when you do that, you're going to be looking at possible pumping restrictions and projects. And so I think there's still a lot of hard work ahead of us. But as it stands right now, we're on solid footing to continue to move ahead. I think there's still some issues with what's going on with the deep aquifer right now, and what kind of baseline data do we agree to. We've done a lot of work with Stanford, and then there's the county intrusion maps, and I think there's a lot of difference in opinions as to what is the more scientific and truthful and factual baseline information. So this was the Stanford work that we did. These indicate flight lines. We hired Stanford and a company called SkyTem to fly a helicopter up and down, and they used geophysical methods to shoot into the aquifer and to get a picture, an MRI if you will, down to the deep aquifer in an area around Marina, all the way up to Moss Landing and just to the east of Salinas, down to a depth of about 900 feet in most areas. Additionally, they looked at over almost 200 wells, let's say, and they took the lithology from those wells to ground truth information, and in March of this year we'll get a final report. And the preliminary findings that I've seen are just incredible, and I really just cannot wait to get the information out, because I think this will be extremely helpful in terms of informing the GS plan development, as well as just really understanding where the saltwater and freshwater intrusion front are. And then finally, it brings me to the last project, which is the slant well desal project. In areas where collaboration is working, we've recently been having discussions about how we might be able to provide alternate supply for that project to buy us some time so that we can fix the potential issues we see with the groundwater. There was actually a case status conference day at the CPUC to discuss this very matter. I do not know yet what the CPUC directed the intervening parties. I will find out in the morning, I'm sure. So I would say to be determined is probably where we are right now with collaboration, but we do know that there are significant challenges that we are facing with this project that currently are not mitigated and currently maybe aren't going to. Again, this baseline water quality data. The project was moving forward using insufficient information and insufficient SQL analysis. They didn't use any of the AEM data that we have and aren't projected to use any of that. So there is significant issues with impacts to groundwater. I think additionally, there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that the demand that CalAm has today for the foreseeable future and their current supplies don't support a new project. They have sufficient supplies for foreseeable future, and some of these alternate supplies can ensure that that's absolutely true. And what we're dealing with right now is we're kind of strapped for time to evaluate some of these options and to fix these problems. And that's what we've been trying to work with many groups to say, look, you have the CEO milestones, let's look at some alternatives to move those milestones out and then fix the problems, and we can continue to move forward on a desal project that doesn't kill the groundwater too low. And I think part of that too is the implications from Sigma. If this project moves forward, there's really no chance as a groundwater sustainability agency that we are going to be able to meet the obligations of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. There simply is no way that that amount of pumping from those groundwater basins will ever allow us to find a sustainable solution. The slant well project has no groundwater rights. In fact, CalAm claims that it can get developed groundwater rights because that groundwater in that area is unusable. But they also claim that they don't need groundwater rights because it's pumping ocean water. They claim that it's a return water agreement where it takes groundwater and returns it somewhere else, mitigates for pumping groundwater. Does that all sound consistent to you? I guess they covered all their bases. But the bottom line is there's a standard that the State Water Resources Control Board uses when they define beneficial groundwater, and it's 3,000 TDS. CalAm uses a standard of 500 TDS, and they used it on maps that didn't really show you where 500 TDS was. It was an estimate. And so this is a huge difference. If you were to look at using this as your baseline, there's simply no way that they could actually say that they aren't pumping beneficial groundwater. Additionally, they solicited a report from the State Water Resources Control Board in 2013 that gave them an understanding of what it would take to get groundwater, and they're misusing that because they're basically saying, oh, this said that we can get groundwater. No, it didn't say that. I'm running out of time. I'll try to speed through this. I apologize. Just real quick, we talked about the county maps. The county maps, this is what they show as intrusion. That was based on 2 data points south of the Salinas River. We have done an analysis using 59 wells in our AEM survey that confirms that there's actually a ton of fresh water south of the river. This is an actual image from the AEM. This is the dune sand aquifer. Blue is showing the good groundwater. Here's an aquitard, upper 180, lower 180, another aquitard, and the 400 aquifer. We're seeing some intruded groundwater, but what you're seeing is actually good groundwater flowing from the dune sand into the 180 and down into the 400. This is what we want to keep. They want to pump here, pump all this water out. We don't want that to happen. And then finally, just on the sizing of the plants, in 2015, the demand for Cal-M was 95-45 for all their uses. The plant that they're trying to propose to build today is 16,000 acre-feet per year, much larger than their demand. And when we look at going out even to 2015, and if they had a growth in demand and a build-out and economic recovery and all of that, there's still plenty of water up until 2035, 2040 even, they have a surplus. And so building a plant this size, and this is no plant. This is no plant at all. So you add 16,000 acre feet on top of these numbers if they build that plant. There we go. So just a quick wrap up. So I think when we look at regional solutions, you really have to understand there's multiple interests, and you just have to know that unless you're looking to collaborate those interests, we're going to get into litigation areas where we're not working together. And because MCWD is connected to all these various sources and supplies, I think we do play a key role in ensuring that that does happen. And so with that, here's that busy picture of everything all together. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Kathy. I'm sorry if I went over all that.
So at this point in our presentation, I'd like to introduce Kathy Biala. She's a City of Marina Planning Commissioner and also the founder and the heart of Citizens for Just Water. Kathy,
Do we want the light now, or?
Oh, no, I have a
She has slides.
So, I'll try to face this way a little bit.
Maybe I'll turn this lights on for a second.
My presentation is going to be a little less technical, so I think all of us can kind of understand this one in particular, but as David said, we are representing Citizens for Just Water. Here's our website. We wanted to let you know that we've been highly active in our community, and beginning in December of 2016, Citizens for Just Water became an official party to the California Public Utilities Commission, and that means that we have participated in evidentiary hearings, and we have a seat at the table for these mediation settlement negotiations, so we're very proud that we were able to get that designation. We did multiple public forums at the Marina Library. Many of you might have attended them on the Cal-M slant well, about 3 or 4 of them, and including we showed the National Geographic movie, Water and Power, A California Heist. If you have not seen it, it's fantastic. It gives you a whole different perspective of the water wars that are currently going on in California. So I highly recommend that you see that. We collected over 1,600 signatures right here. I wanted to bring them hard copy if you want to look at them later. They were in letters and petitions to the California Public Utilities Commission and 8 other public agencies that have to do with the environmental impact report before their deadline for public comment in March of 27. And as I said, we sent them to 9 public agencies. We have done a lot of advocacy work on social media. We do advocacy work in different agencies and to local public officials. We've also made public comment to California Coastal Commission and NOAA and city councils and all kind of water agencies. So we've been very active. Next. We stand for community values, yours and everyone in our region. And that means to us that we're interested in truth and fairness, not deception and manipulation. And I wanted to show you this. This is a Cal-M picture of their slant well. Here is the slant well that goes under the ocean floor and was touted to be a subsurface ocean intake. And they would draw water from the ocean through this filter of sand here. see that? And this is their picture. They said it's not to scale, but if you look at this, here's the ocean, and how much of this pipe looks like it's under the ocean? Quite a bit, right? It's going way out in the ocean, right? But in reality, in the draft EIR, next please, it's this. Look at the ocean here. They've reversed the picture, so it's a little hard, but here's the ocean, right? Now, where's the pipe? It's mostly under the surface land, right? So saying that it's going to be ocean intake is not exactly realistic. And they're pulling water from this pipe under the land along this whole pipe. It's not just at the end of the terminus of the pipe. You see these red dots here? We use that to indicate where the holes are for stream intake. And it's obviously sucking water from our 180 aquifer. It's also in the sand dune aquifer, which is fresh water. And it's almost 90% of this pipe is pulling water from under the subsurface land, not the ocean. It makes a very big difference. If you're sucking water from the ocean, you don't require water rights. If you're sucking from groundwater, you better have water rights. Next slide. So, we stand for environmental responsibility. We all know what happened with CalAm servicing their customers. They damaged, illegally pumped from the Carmel River, and then a cease and desist order had to be levied against them, right? And they also overpumped the Seaside Basin. So that is their jurisdictions where they have legal rights. And I have to say that oftentimes they pose this as restrictions being put on them in some way as hapless victims, rather than they themselves having created that issue, that problem. So now they don't have water, and they look to the neighboring jurisdiction in which they have no water rights. And I'm going to ask you, why would Marina Coast Water District think CalAm would respect our water resources any differently than the ones all of you have been experiencing on the peninsula and seaside? Environmental responsibility means sustainability. Keith talked a little bit about it. There was a new law in 2014, Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, we say SGMA. It says recognition for the first time that you can't just keep pumping from the groundwater. A finite amount of water, and if everybody sucks from it, guess what? It's going to get dry, right? And so now we have the first recognition that we all are responsible for sustainable water. You can't suck it up without replenishing it. Now, if CalAm comes into our area where they don't have legal rights and they don't have any responsibility for SGMA compliance, we have a big problem. So we have that issue as well. Next slide. We value open space. This is our beaches in the marina area. And this is where CMAX plant was. And remember, in July of this past year, we had a historic event happen. The California Coastal Commission, the City of Marina, and the State Lands Commission did a joint, collaborative agreement with CMAX to say we're stopping the sand mining in 3 years. Okay, and guess what? This is the CMAX sand mining. Guess where the CalAm slant well is? Exactly on the same property. They made a deal with CMAX property. So now got rid of one industrial plant, and now when CMAX closes, it's going to be designated as open space and conservation in perpetuity, and yet we have CalAm putting another industrial plant on the same property. Next slide. We value conservation and habitat protection. On the shores of Marina, we have a threatened species called the western snowy plover. We're extremely privileged to have a threatened species that we have now as City of Marina's official bird. I have looked at some of the data since the one slant well has been built by CalAm. They built it in January of 2015, and I have done some research on it, and it looks like we might have a pretty alarming trend of decline of this wonderful bird on our shores, possibly because of that slant well. Nothing has been researched about it, and so I'm really saying we need to find out if in fact this was an impact to the western snowy plover. Next slide. We stand for environmental justice. CalAm receives all the benefits, marina and or communities receive all the risk and harm. As I believe Keith was saying, is the 180-foot aquifer is among the 21 critically overdrafted basins in California designated by the Department of Water Resources. The groundwater from the Salinas Valley Groundwater Basin is Marina's sole source of drinking water. We don't have anything other than this groundwater. Environmental justice to me means equal. In the draft environmental impact report, there was careful study of the peninsula's future demand and supply needs. And I think Keith was saying that it was highly overinflated. They even had documentation about how many more toilets might be added in the peninsula if people wanted to add another additional toilet to their house. Yet there was no demand and supply needs of marina and moored communities in that whole EIR. CalAm had several public needs of the peninsula and other public notices of updates of this project, but only one presentation back in 2014 in the marina area, the site where they're going to take free water and without water rights.
So Kathy, just to let you know, you got about a minute left.
Okay. And we stand for the rights of all people. This is a very famous graph by now. Here is CalAm rates, and here is Marina Coast Water District. CalAm being a for-profit private corporation and Marina being a public agency. So what can you do? Please visit our website. We have a lot of information on that, and as least technical as we can manage with a complex topic. Speak to your city council and local agencies about your concerns about this project. Demand that after the March 30th, when the final environmental impact report is going to be released, we have only 10 days to respond to probably 2,000 pages. Please write a comment about your concerns and ask for this AEM data that Keith showed on his slides, and also this investigation of the Western Snowy Plover data as new data. Please ask for that to be inputted. And support Public Water Now, help the petition for the feasibility study, and help with the H2O ballot measure in November. I do have petitions back there with brochures about Public Water Now. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Today's presentation, but thank you for your long attention. I understand this was a very a lot of data, a lot of information. Please visit our website. We are available. We have a traveling program. If your club or your city would like for us to come and do this presentation, the longer version, please let me know, and I'll let them know about this too. I think we have 30 seconds left. Are there any questions? Any questions about any material that was presented?
I think the key thing is, if you would like to support their efforts, make sure you sign their petition. And if you want more information, you can certainly contact David, and he can get you that information.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
CalAm, is that federal, or where did they start it? How did they?
CalAm is a private, lead-sucking company.
Okay, is it consist of one company?
It's an international
And how do they
conglomerate.
happen to have come around to take a hold of water?
Yeah, it's a
That's a long conversation.
conversation, but Marina Coast Water District is a public, nonprofit. All right, they have a board of directors, and you can go and ask them questions and challenge their rights. Go to CalAm and tell them that you don't like their rates and see what happens.
So if you don't like what Marina Coast is doing, move to Marina and don't vote for me in the next election.
Okay, I'm sorry, Steve, we're going to have to move on because we've got.
Thank you again for this.
You know how to contact me. No, I'm sorry, we got to move on. Okay, so, the minutes. You should in your packet have minutes from our last meeting. Are there any requested amendments? Or is there a motion to approve? All right, Natalie, Alicia, I think, seconded, and Natalie moved approval. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, thank you. Let's see, financial reports. So we have some financial reports in our packet, and we'll let Jen say a few things about that. Go ahead and stand up.
Here's our January revenue expenses report. We had a healthy balance in the date, although we're back to spending more than we brought in. So we're about $1,000 short, but luckily we are in good shape still. So, any questions about the January report?
Are there any questions? So we also have a proposed budget in there. I'm trying to see if we have that anywhere else in there. I don't see it.
It's on, yeah.
Is it another item?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah. So I think that I'm not the best person actually to talk about this. There's something else that I think whoever made that should talk
The
about.
campaign. So maybe I'm wondering if this would be a good time. We could just kind of, the lead committee and budget, folks who put that together, can jointly present kind of our thoughts here. So this is on page 5 in your packet, and you'll see a proposed budget. You'll see what our budget in 2016 was. You'll see, and I don't know if those are actuals, Jen. You know if that's what we actually spent? Okay, so that's even better. So you can see how much we raised and how we spent that money in 2016, which, remember, was a presidential election year. And we raised $66,000 and we spent $73,000. And then in 2017, we raised $59,000, which is actually really good considering it's a non-election year. And we spent $35,000, which is why we have a surplus now coming into this year. And the proposed budget, let's see, the original proposed budget that the E-Board was considering was like raising $65,000 and spending $58,000. But we have a campaign committee and they have looked at what they would really ideally like us to be able to do, and it's always good to kind of set your sights high, because if you don't set your sights high, you won't reach high. And so they're proposing, in conjunction with the E-Board, a revised budget, and I'm not sure if Elaine or Vince want to kind of take us through that.
I apologize,
It's on page 5 of your packet.
yeah, but it's not broken out, we got it broken out, so you can explain why we're asking for that on the.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you explained most of it. So the idea was to have resources for both the mail pieces, a walk piece, meaning a piece of essentially a door hanger or the equivalent of a door hanger, to have paid organizers, both to manage the volunteers and activities, but also to manage the data processing that's needed to get all the maps properly done and have the walking lists and so forth. To have some resources for social media support, to have some resources for events, and these are not the fundraising events, these are sort of campaign events. And then have some resources, about $5,000 for phone banks. So phone banks cost some money because usually you have to have, for some of the people who come, you have to have phones for them. Most people come with their own phones, but some paid phones. So all that together amounts to what we have here as election activity expenses of $74,000. What that allows to do is to do general election mailings. It does not allow, this would not allow for mailing for the primary. But the primary this year is not likely to generate a lot of activity, and so, anyway, this covers primarily general election activity.
And so, obviously, this is going to require us to raise more money. And I will say that our development team, including David and Amit, were at this meeting, and they are supportive of this budget goal. So where I'm at is, it's a big number, but if they believe they can raise that amount of money with our help, I am supportive of it. And I think we have a very good campaign committee, and they know what they're doing. And we certainly want to be as effective as we can. So this would be an opportunity for you to ask, Igor, the campaign committee, or the financial person questions. Do you have any questions or comments on this recommended budget? Yeah, Holly.
So originally, I looked at what we spent in 16, which was a presidential election, and we did a primary vote mailing, and it was 36, so you're pretty much doubling that budget. I just looked at the detail, and, there's room to trim. I'm going to support this because I will remind everyone, which I've always said before, is we don't spend it unless we raise it, and if we don't have it, we don't spend it.
Exactly. So what she's saying is, this is a goal, and if we end up with not as much money, we won't be able to send out as broad of a mailer, or we may not be able to do some of these other things that the campaign team is envisioning, and we'll just have to adjust.
Just one comment,
Yeah, sure.
I think a lot of this is built on what we saw happen in the last 15 months and the thousands of people who came out to march, rally, and protest. They won. And we expect that we're going to still be marching, rallying, and protesting, but we're also going to be working on elections. And people know that's where the real change is. And we're going to have to accommodate, I think, I hope, I'm pretty sure people are going to show up, and this is what they're going to want to do. And we're going to ask them for money, not just make phone calls. We're going to have to all be fundraisers, and I'm going to deputize everybody as an official fundraiser at some point this year, okay? It won't hurt you at all. Thank you. We can do it, man. I know it.
Any other questions about the budget proposal? If not, I would, Dominic.
So is this being acted on today, or is this just being presented and when we get the full breakdown?
I would prefer us just to adopt it, but again, with the understanding that we will end up adjusting it if we don't raise as much money. It's a budget, a budget is sort of, you look at what you expect or hope to make, and you look at what you think you need to spend, but you have to make adjustments if you don't raise as much money, or if you raise more money. Please do.
A lot of this is basically based on consider avenues of income. So for example, the first question I want to turn on is basically phone banking, targeting people that were actually donors on previous elections. That in itself historically always makes money. Depending on how good the callers are, is based on how much money you make off of it. To expand beyond that, would basically be things like merchandise, t-shirts, doing it in-house. Ahmed is actually down to just get a machine for like less than 2 Gs, dump it in one of his retail store spaces that is empty, and start making those. So those would be basically labor donated t-shirt things. In combination, all of these avenues of income, hopefully the design is to mitigate the costs that candidates have to build up in order to sustain this like so there'll be a lot of different avenues of income that keep getting turned on as the first ones work. And the first basic one is phone banking, which is in essence making the ask for money. So your friends, your family, your cities, your candidates, that's where it comes in. That's where you actually get to donate your time on that. So as it's right, you can in essence think of them as almost benchmarks. So when we reach one of them, we build up the next avenue of income. We keep doing that on and on and on down the line.
So part of it is developing new revenue streams. I did see Holly give me a look, and I wanted to point out, we have to make sure we're not charging for merchandise, we're asking for donations, correct, Holly? Otherwise, we get in trouble. So that's just an important reminder. Did you want to ask a question or comment on the budget?
Comment?
Go ahead.
Just following up on the idea of the fundraising and stuff, perpetuating ideas that we could do something like the United Way has done. And, you know, we all been involved with that at one point or another, right? Basically sign off so much dollars a month, a paycheck, and it's out of that deduction. Right here is 22 people at the table. If each one of you decided to give $1, $22, you get 5, you know. So if each one of you were to give 5 people each, then multiply that and do it every month, 10 months, you got some money. But that's a small thing. I know I can get 10 people. I know each and every one of you at the table here can get 10 people at $5 each. If we did that, by the time we come to the next meeting, we have a little report card. Here's all the forms. Here's the, you know, the same form that the United Way. We've all done this before. We've all helped United Way because it's a good thing. So this is a good thing as well. We need to empower ourselves. People out there, I don't want to be calling somebody every month. Hey, Joe, remember last month you gave me $10 and you give me another 10? Hey, I'd rather call Mary this time, right? So, you know, you don't want to be calling the same person all the time. It's already done. They sign off, and guess what? One signature, and they're set for the rest of the year. You know, we got to tell them what it's for. Signs, campaigns, whatever. They just have a little check out if they want to see the money spent to it, we put it there.
Thank you very much. Okay, so unless there are other questions, I would entertain a motion.
And then we'll go back to $5. And people will probably donate these $5 if we have, say, family members.
Yeah, I think there is a plan to make direct asks through both mailing and through, it sounds like phoning. I didn't know about that, but through phoning and merchandising. And then, of course, we'll be having another fundraising event or two.
I just want to follow up on this because I get a lot of people saying, what can I do? And I think the next time I'm going to say, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
But with that said, encourage them to go to our website and go to Click and Pledge and make it a recurring donation. It will happen automatically, and therefore our treasurer will not have to run 100 credit cards. Well, actually, I would end up running 100 credit cards a month. So Click and Pledge, use our services that are available, please. And you can make it reoccurring on Click and Pledge. So if somebody asks you, what can they do? Ask them to donate $5 a month.
Yeah, those are the best. So if we know that we're going to get $5, $10, $20 every month, it makes it easier because you have that dedicated, secure line of revenue coming in. Is there a motion? Mary Lou,
Can I
question?
say something?
Yeah.
You know, that's a great idea, and I mentioned it before, but do you have a place where you can actually put the name of the person who donates? So not so much because for you to know that the person gave, but to encourage the people to know who is actually donating. You know, is there a place where you can put your name and
Yeah, that's something that actually we'll be getting to communications later, and Ryan and I have some thoughts on that. We'll get to that.
That's
I don't know.
on a couple of different servers. It doesn't take that long, it'll happen.
They have to give permission.
And you can also, in essence, give a quote as to why you're doing that. And then there's an approval process. It's not crazy.
So we'll get to that later, but that is a wonderful idea.
But you know, this is important. I know you guys want to make it short, but we
Yeah.
need funding here.
Oh,
And this is an
absolutely.
important issue that you guys should be concerned about, each one of you guys here.
Yep.
We're going to rush it, you know what? This is where you're going to make the money.
Yep, absolutely. Are there any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the budget.
Okay, motion to approve. And I assume by that you mean the revised budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Alicia seconds it. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Didn't see any of either. Thank you. Going on to, let's see. Karen is not here, so I'm going to she has the information on Survey Monkey. I'm going to skip over that. And she has the information on the calendar. Let's see. Let's go to Democratic clubs. So within Monterey County, do you have a report?
I do. I'm Stephanie Freshman Elizabeth. So our endorsements, if you would like our club's endorsement, we've activated the process. It's available on our website. If your election is during the primary in June, your application that we'll go over and then we will go to our membership is due by March 8th, so right around the corner. And again, that's on our website. If your election is in the general in November, then you have until June 1st to turn in what you need to for us. The other thing is our next month's luncheon is going to be really great. Dr. Denise Gus is coming to speak to us, as well as Tony Thurman, and he's running for the state superintendent of public instruction. He's actually from the county, really dynamic guy. He's running against Marshall Tuck, who is the champion of charter schools. So I recommend coming. We have to switch the date. It's on March 16th, so Friday, 11:30, 1:30.
So that all went really fast. One thing I just want to say to all the clubs, again, if you have an event coming up and you email it before the e-board to Elena, I, or Karen, we'll try to actually have it printed in the packet. So once again, when is Deneen and Tony Thurman speaking?
March 16th.
March 16th.
11:30, 1:30. You can sign up on our website.
11:30 to 1:30. And Tony Thurman was just endorsed by our statewide Democratic Party. Marina Club.
Yes, we've had a successful evening and we're planning, we're gearing up our activities for the upcoming November election. City Council, Mayor, and Water Board. We're planning a number of local events in the city, starting probably early April. So at the next, this March meeting, will probably be the November
Okay. Salinas Valley. Do you have anyone representing?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
We have no updates from our
okay, thank you. DCMP, anyone here representing them? I don't see Scott. Gary, do you want to update on the Progressive Club?
Yes.
West one.
So yeah, at the convention, I got a lot of stuff. So like a box and a bag, some clothes, some toys, lots of stuff that we could use for raffle, fundraising, and something from the convention.
Thank you for bringing back goodies.
Okay. And anything else, Gary?
Well, the Progressive Democratic chapter agreed to raise, last year we raised $2,000, donated it to the Central Committee, the Senate to change it. So we committed to raise $5,000 this year for the coordinated campaign and to keep the Center for Changes, centers open, including one around here somewhere. And also staff, we recruit staff at two centers. Yeah, that's pretty much, oh, thank you. And the VGOD, good old days. We bought a booth at good old days, so we can share that. We need insurance.
We're renting a booth, and then we're going to use your insurance, so it's kind of a partnership. So Jen, I talked to her today, she's going to send us the booth, but we will need people to volunteer, because it is Fridays, or Saturday, Sunday. The dates? It's in April, so I'll get volunteer sheets for in the next week. Yeah, it's the 14th and 15th, or 15th and 16th of April, but it's like from 8 to 5, and it has to be manned the whole time. And I'm fine with manning it a lot, because I live there, but I want to be there.
You're gonna woman it.
Yeah, I'm a woman. Yeah, sorry.
Crew.
Okay, thank you. Canada, I traveling?
Brandon got a haircut.
Yeah, that happens. No, So we picked up one of the booths at the San Diego Democratic 2018 convention. It was like $1,500. And we threw down another $700 on merchandise. We got a bunch of cards and stickers and banner. And we went to this guy in Seaside, of all places. It's on Broadway. Andrew's Print Shop is the actual official name, but the real guy is Ed Martinez, and he's Allied Printing, so it's actually a local union printer. Fantastic turnaround. And when we got to the convention center, we set up our booth. We were wedged between the Mothers Against Gun Violence in San Diego, and then like Governor Chang was like 3 booths down from us, and there was all these different people meandering about, and we were just flooded, and so we just totally blew up our membership. We got 5 more counties coming online now, and we got 2 school chapters, which we got to figure out, because one's in Riverside and one's in Santa Cruz. So the Democratic Club showed up there, because we have this policy that we're trying to put out there, where there's basically their on-site campus internships for $250 a quarter is how we're breaking it out for 3 months, because some schools are trimesters and semesters, but we're going to do it by quarters so they get their allotment. And then $250 budget so they can organize, which we have to throw in the pizza cards so they don't go buy beer, because that shit is still illegal. So it plugs in really well with us, and it's working out to be kind of an interesting thing. So the plan is to have that 1 year-round job fair that we plug in with all the kids, because they're all graduating, you know, they got like $150,000 in student loan debt, so they got to figure that thing out. And so it was a phenomenal experience. When we set up the podcasting booth, because we have all this podcasting gear, I started interviewing all the candidates that were running for office. So we hit them on 5 major subject questions, which is, how do you feel about cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, consumption, and taxes in your county, city, or statewide level? So suddenly, like, people running for governor were showing up. One of the 25 candidates running against Dianne Feinstein showed up. So the conversations were totally absurd, but very interesting. And these stickers, like, we gave out like 1,000 of these, so we're pretty happy about that. And yeah, I thought the convention was horribly structured, actually, but that's a sidetrack.
That's a sidetrack. Come up later.
Yeah. But it went well. So yeah, that's our updates, and we're thinking of switching our campaign lab from Fridays in the morning, because honestly, I like to sleep in and let other people have jobs. So they would like to do it in Sunday evenings, and if I have the effort, I'll do it, because I don't give a shit about sports, so I'm not really watching anything on Sunday nights. So we're going to give that a shot, and our in essence, campaign team is doing pretty good on the inside, so we're currently running Mr. Wizard over there, Magic Man himself, and Tyler Williamson. So we have 5 more people now in this county we're supposedly going to turn on over the next month. So Sunday night looks like a good night, and I'm going to schedule that into the national calendar. And the $5 lifetime membership thing, when we explained we can actually form a cannabis caucus, everybody's like, oh my God, I'm down, where have you been? And so it was a good response. And people, I'm not going to lie, they kept bringing up booze and food and weed. So it is what it is. It was an amazing experience, and the Democrats are awesome in many different levels, and that's where I'm leaving that.
All right, well, congratulations on inspiring 5 new clubs. That's pretty cool.
Wonderful.
And it was really neat seeing signs for our very own Tyler Williamson and John Wizard in a booth at the Cadam convention. That was pretty cool. All right, and then do you have an announcement on
Yes, the
that?
Credentials Committee has an announcement regarding item 9G, Young Democrats Charter pending. So we have a new club on board. So the paperwork has been submitted by the Young Democrats, so we have a new club. Now it just needs to go through the procedure of verifying the signatures and so forth. And the reason they're not here tonight is due to some classes. And as you know, we have I think we actually do have a member here tonight, I'm sorry. The reason why Natara is not here is due to a class. And but I'm happy to say welcome the Young Dems. And we do have someone in the room right now who is actually an officer, and that is Adam.
Hello everybody, we did conduct officer elections this past Saturday. We are still recruiting more members, and so we'd like to leave the opportunity open for new members to get into officer positions. So we only voted on chair, secretary, and treasurer last Saturday to leave room for other people to get empowered. But we are off to a good start. We are recruiting new members at every meeting. Some additional signatures and paperwork for you. And just very excited to say we live streamed our last meeting on Facebook, and looking forward to doing, we're planning voter registration events NPC and vending days for our college.
Great, it would be great if we could get our young Dems then connected with the state party young Dems and send a couple of young Dems to the next convention.
Tara did attend the Young Democrats Convention back in, I think it was December, so we are already plugged in with them.
They're on it, Mr. Chairman.
Patty, go ahead.
We've seen a big difference of young people this year in the convention, because there was a whole lot of,
There was.
young people all over, more than the Sacramento, because Sacramento had more older people and.
Are you like Young Democrats in Monterey on Facebook? I mean, if I have people that are interested in joining you, how do they join you?
Monterey County Young Democrats is the
And
name
it's
of
on
the Facebook
Facebook?
page. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And also they'll be on our website shortly, and there'll be links to all of that.
Okay, so updates. Retreat with NCBI, next steps. Do we have any next steps to announce?
Well, I think what we talked about during the e-board was that we would like to do a repeat for the folks that weren't able to attend. We would like to do it in Salinas, and would really love the input of folks who might know of a good location here. I know of Cesar Chavez Library, but I don't think it really works for this particular event. Basically, we need a room like this, approximately this size, with potentially little breakout areas or breakout rooms, if you will. And so my thought was folks who weren't able to attend the last time, I feel partly was because it was on a Sunday and partly was a drive because we were at CHUMB. I'd love feedback, and maybe it doesn't have to be in this setting. Maybe you could email me or Tyler or any, he was not here, but one of us about a possible date or location that you might suggest. Because I think in this big group it would kind of be hard to say, okay, this date works, this that date
Right.
works.
So if you have input, either on a location or a possible time, please share it with Elena or Tyler.
And I don't know if anybody else who went to the event or has any feedback. Yes.
David.
I was an attendee of the event, and I heartily recommend the Central Community promoting and doing whatever you can to make sure that this happens.
Thank you.
Let's see, location for CRC in Salinas. I don't know if we have an update. I have not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah. First of all, I would like to thank the committee, that is Mary Lou Alejo, Ryan Menavar, Patty Rubio Coit, and Wes White. So we talked last time about the various options they came up with, and the board likes one option. Let's see if you like it as well.
Okay.
And this, right behind where the videographer is, right behind Wes, there are blue doors. On the other side of those blue doors is a large boardroom. Right now, Teamsters 890 is clearing out that room. Vince has been in that room. The executive board used to meet there. And that is available to rent to us immediately. We had talked about having a Center for Change in Salinas starting with the fall campaign, but we have enough funds to begin it sooner. And with renting that space that Mary Lou made the contact on and reported on a month or two ago, we also have the use of this hall when it is not otherwise used, and the parking lot. So we like that very much. Also, the previous Center for Change was right across the driveway, so for people that are not plugged into all things Democrat, that will make sense to them. I'm employed by the Labor Council, which is on the other side of the driveway, and not a month goes by that somebody doesn't call or come in looking for the Democrats. So it's still there in their DNA. Do you have something you'd like to say?
Just something about dates. I mean, you guys talk about what dates.
What you had suggested, which was Thursday through Sunday, and it would be from 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursdays and Fridays, and then Saturdays and Sundays. But really, they're very open to us. And also, there's a political campaigns that they're also going to be using this space for different Democrats. So depending on what happens later on and with endorsements, we might find that a good marriage. But
So, two questions. One, Is there any way we can have some signage out front so
Yes.
people know we're
The
here?
answer is yes.
Okay, good. And then the second question is, what are they asking in order?
The same thing that Mary Lou had reported before, which was 500, and it is month to month. They do not require that we sign a lease, which I found very attractive. And I believe the words that the executive board used were, that sounds great unless somebody else knows about something that's free.
So no utility.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there any access on the outside, or would they have to come through the hallway to get it?
Great question, James. So those two doors are for here, and good thing to point out. On the driveway side is a door. There are steps to come up and come in the door there. And, oh, thanks, that reminds me of something else. And there's a restroom in there as well. I mean, they're replacing the toilet. They're like, they're very enthusiastic. There's also a commode in here. This is not ADA friendly. I did look online. We didn't talk about this at e-board, but thank you for reminding about the door, because there's steps there. They have temporary ramps, so someone who's a wheelchair user or has a cane, and they cost like $200-300, and they pack up. Another thing is, we have a storage unit here. We own 50%. Again, this was, the former board was wise to buy a storage unit shipping crate at the back of the driveway, and half of that belongs to us. So again, if we have rolling carts, we could store things, move things in and out. So, you know, the recommendation is that this is a good location. It's a matter of when, or if someone knows a free place.
Yeah, I just had a question. You said that it's, we don't have to sign anything, it's month to month.
We have to sign an agreement, a rental agreement.
But it's a month to month.
Month to month.
Month to month. So is that really in our interest? Because if somebody else comes in and someone says, well, we'll pay $800 a month, are we out? I mean, is that a good thing, or should we be trying to sign an agreement for a few months?
Good point. They offered that as flexibility for us, because I made a joke saying, the other thing that would be better is if we find a place that's free. So that is for our benefit. They're not opposed to a lease.
I don't think we want a long-term lease, because we're definitely not going to want it after the election.
Thank you, Just Water.
The election period.
We could sign a lease. We could.
We know it's solid, we have it.
If it's the will of the body, they're not opposed to a lease.
Guys, do we need a ramp? Can people come in this way around those big doors?
That too is not wheelchair accessible. There is no ramp out there. Right now, we're holding our meetings in a non-accessible space.
I look at that, but then I can, I can look at, and then we have to
Did you say you want to move?
But I could, because I deal with a handicap,
Yeah.
with the drawings,
You
so
can,
I could,
look at that, if there's a way that we can do a ramp, and I can draw it.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much.
Make sure you get that in our minutes.
Yeah, it's a portable ramp.
Forget about
You
that.
can't modify their space, but a portable ramp.
I think I did.
Thank you, Patty.
1 second, because I think, did you have your hand up? I thought somebody over here did. Was it James? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation.
Do you want to include a month to start? When should we begin?
Well, I think we talked about April and the campaign committee.
April 1st? Okay. So the motion is we accept the recommendation and pursue an agreement with the Teamsters in April 1st. Through the election. So would that be the end of December? Would that be November?
Close out, right?
November, we'll have a big party.
Okay. Is there a second? I heard a lot of, I think Natalie said.
Can I just say the date, you said to start in April?
April 1st through
November.
November 31st, or November 15th.
Well,
15 sounds good. Nobody's going to stay for Thanksgiving.
Okay, so we've got, yes.
I have a question. Does this come out of the campaign budget, or does this come out of the operating? I'm just trying to look at the campaign budget.
so it
And
comes.
I don't see rent.
We did not put it in the campaign.
Okay. You took it out, actually, because you didn't feel like it was.
It comes out of wherever our financial folks recommend is the
Where do you think it should come out?
legally
It would have to come from
permissible
the
part.
date, right?
It would be, the same occupancy.
But it could be, correct me if I'm wrong, we'll be doing things for Jimmy in essence too, right?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Let's think about that role. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to rent the space back there from April through November. Yes, very good.
She's saying,
So, all right, any other comments? Yes.
I don't know what was decided about the lease idea, but I think it's better to not have a lease.
Me
Because
too.
if
we end up running out of money,
yeah,
we may have to
then there we are
let it go.
So
I think we need that flexibility.
that would be my impression.
okay, how about through June at least? We don't want someone keeping us out.
I don't think they're going to.
Like, if it's one, that's fine, because nobody's taking us out of here. They're not renting.
I don't think they're taking us out. I honestly don't.
Otherwise, it would already be that.
Right. You have a good faith oral promise, right?
All right, last comment.
Yeah, basically you have a good faith promise, an oral agreement that they're not gonna overdo you for somebody else.
I don't think they want to. I'd be surprised.
I'd say, I prefer November, how about June? Come on, if we don't have $500 a month till June,
So-
we shouldn't be.
I think
Well, it might-
doesn't matter, that's more the ability to upgrade if we need bigger facilities down the line.
Oh, Ryan, thank you so much for that.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the table. Any other comments?
The motion, does the motion include November?
Well, it's a month to month through November.
Through November, unless we run out of money.
I'd say at least to June. Friendly amendment, whoever made the motion.
Well, I made it through November.
Oh, okay.
So not month to month?
Well, I mean, I just figured, I really don't think the odds that this place gets rented underneath, away from us is very high, so.
Well, I'll tell you, there was a Zumba class that thought they had this place rented, and about 60 people got turned away tonight. I was dealing with it, and I invited them all in for snacks and everything, but there was some, they were very nice about it.
All right, so I'm going to say, why don't the e-board will figure this out, the details of the lease.
That's a great
okay?
price for them.
Is that good? But I don't want to.
Yeah, okay.
We'll figure it out.
That's $4,000.
Call the question.
Yes, call for the question. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're all working I would like to personally thank the committee for their hard work on this and really appreciate it. I'm very excited. We're going to have representation here.
And you are relieved of your duties now. Ad hoc committee
Yes,
is
ad hoc
dissolved.
committee, you did your work.
Thank you, volunteers.
Okay. Draft policy on owner database donor list.
We don't have in the packet, you will see one next month. If you have ideas, if you have policies for your own organizations regarding security of data and donors and so forth, we welcome your ideas. We have a wonderful template, a sample that Gary crafted, and we welcome your ideas. We'll be honing that over the next several months.
I have a question on that. This says draft on using the voter database, and donor list. Are you suggesting we're going to give out our donor list to?
We're talking about having a policy.
Policy.
Right now, we don't have a policy.
So say you're on a committee and you have access to the donor list because you're working on a fundraiser, what is our policy for that information? What is our policy on mobile? What is our policy on constant contact?
So do we maybe want to commit an ad hoc meeting for this?
No. We got it. But if you have ideas, send them to us.
Okay.
Who's us?
Board.
The board.
C4C space usage policy. That's on
Okay,
page
so if you
6.
look at page 6, we are going to be entering a time of heavy usage on the Center for Change. Thank you so much to all the people in this room who are also members of other groups that are using Center for Change. I'm talking to you, Tyler Williamson, and I'm talking to Adam. Is Adam still here with the Women's March? Dominic, you know, people that are people that are using the Tuesdays, what are the Tuesdays? Take Action Tuesdays. So thank you to all the groups that are using that and who are passing the hat and writing us a check. $250 is coming from Women's March. So if you want to reserve the Center for Change, the phone on this, it has Elena's information, Alan's information, and mine. Contact us, we'll calendar it. The spiel is this, which is, we have ants, empty the garbage. Even if you didn't put the garbage in there, please empty the garbage. Check the windows, even if you didn't empty the windows, etc., etc. Let them know that it's your event and not ours, because we don't want to, when I'm done, I'll call on you, James. Let them know it's your event and not ours. That's helpful to us to take heed to, just our boundaries. And return the key, pass the hat, or just write us a check, please, a donation, as much as you can afford. And give plenty of notice.
Okay, so James, do you have a question?
I wanted to ask Vince and Holly and anyone else who might know, did we ever have a written policy before that we could just pull out and update?
We're happy with this one.
Is that the former written policy?
Yeah, this is the one we use. So the data is the one that we need. This is the one we're doing now.
Okay. So, okay.
In answer to your question, yes.
Okay.
This is based on that.
Okay, that's what I was trying to.
But we added some things because people, like Elena, knows what it takes to clean that place. And it's very specific.
Okay.
Yep, one question, man.
We were informally asking people to try to hit a target of how much, like $20 an hour or something like that.
It says 15. Currently it's 15. When I send this to people, I say, it says 15, but I hope you'll give 20, 25 or more. But that's what I do. Our policy is 50.
For an hour.
Yes.
Did I say Women's March is sending us a check for $250?
Yes. Okay, so we're going to go on then to Democratic Convention update. I have a couple things I'm going to say, and then I'll maybe just go around the room, and those of you who were there, feel free to have a minute to say something. First of all, it was great to see all of you who were able to be there. In the future, I really do hope that we make sure everyone who has been appointed by the committee, if they can't go, to make sure we have a proxy. It's just important because this committee has only 14 people to send. I think there were some people who would have liked to go if they had heard earlier. And so we're representing our whole county, all of the Democrats in this county. So we want to make sure if you're elected as one of our delegates that you go, or if you can't go early enough, you make sure you find a proxy. I had a great time. I think I'm going to just defer my comments though and send it over to James. Any other comments?
Well, I went. I was staying with a friend in Mission Viejo, and unfortunately I didn't get there in time to be ready to vote. My phone told me it should only be a little over an hour drive. It took me over 3 hours to get there, and so they'd already shut down registration on Saturday. I even ran into Dave Jones, who called somebody to try to get it, and even he couldn't get me in. So I tried, but it wasn't. I've been to almost every convention since the last 10, and last year was the first one I had missed. So.
How was it?
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I got to talk to a lot of people. I got to talk to a number of candidates. And so on. Not earth-shaking. It wasn't the most significant one I've been to personally, partly because I was there so late. I couldn't get there any earlier because I had to work on Friday. You know, I've been really exhausted and my health hasn't been good. I've been really sick with flu and this foot infection and so on.
Okay, and thank you very much. And as we go along, please, if there was something you learned or something like that, please share it. Go ahead, Wes. I got my camera going.
So I guess I was a little bored at the convention. I got a few bags worth of stuff. I thought when I was listening to this going by for Ricardo Lara, United Dreamers in California. There's these, well, I collected quite a few, and I talk to people and they give me stuff, so, I probably got 15 or so. Which is pretty cool. Right, I got a couple of shirts for Dave Jones, if anybody's interested in those. A couple of shirts where it says, affordable housing repeal of Costa Hawkins. Because the rent is too damn high.
There were protesters there shouting, the rent is too damn high.
Yeah, I actually video all that stuff too. That was actually a lot of fun. Mary Jane Brownie's had pot necklaces. So, we got some orange tiny hands. It says, need to impeach, get Trump's tiny hands off the nukes. So, come on.
Okay, gotta wrap it up.
Lots of signs. Actually, I got the last day there was the Democrats fight for immigrants, and I got like over 300 of those signs. So we should really try to do some kind of rally for that.
And where?
That's true.
And where could I get some of these, Wes, if I love them and wanted to support the local party?
Right.
Center for Change. Center for Change. This could be you. This could be yours.
Thank you, Wes, but we're going over, so I'm going to Vince. Anything you want to share, Vince?
Nothing, I would second what I think Patricia said. There were a lot of young Dams there. That was very encouraging to see a number of young Dam clubs formed. So the rejuvenation, not that anyone with gray hair is not welcome, but it's nice to see that there's really good energy there. So that's all I would say.
Thanks, Vince. Yeah, I'm just going to run. Anybody over here? You kind of left. Anything else?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Three major things, honestly. It's kind of sad that there are 58 counties and there's not a section just designated for like, if you're a subcommittee for a county, you should get it removed. And the problem with that is because it would be great to actually talk to people from other counties. You could actually structure, just like in the state of California for the map of the counties, and put people next to the counties next to each other.
Well, they can do it by regions.
Yeah, well, counties like you can just give out a table as it is because there's free tickets that come with it. So you can roll those out as 5 magical tickets for each county. The second major one was, for example, I jumped into a debate with this awesome guy who's running against Dianne Feinstein. He's one of 25 candidates. I honestly think if you're, she's just like the third richest whatever in her position, so she can keep throwing money. But these people are like, I'm not going to take corporate money. But then again, the problem is that they got to get a table of $1,500. Plus they got to spend like another $1,000 to get on an endorsement ticket thing. They feel like they're just giving that money to the enemy, in essence. And in fact, I mean, if you look at the map, that's kind of how it breaks out. So honestly, if they're going for a position above board supervisor, they should get a free table. And they should get clumped into the group that's sitting there with their county. And I would think the third major thing is they're horrible on their promotions to the public. My development officer actually.
Ryan, you're over.
1 second. They called me up. They called her up to specifically bitch them out. The fact that they hadn't even put a Facebook event out there. So the marketing material for the event is horrible.
I agree.
I had a fabulous time. I met Chelsea Gabbard, who I hosted her Futures for Female President. So that was my highlight. I've got Jeff Berkeley, who is a wonderful candidate, and he used a term that I've been using in my class today, called time, because instead of time of change, it's calling it time of chaos, and I love that way sort of coordination. Cool. And everything else was fabulous.
Good. Just going around. Yeah, David.
So I was really encouraged by the youth who were there. It is a chaotic event. There's passion there, and it really makes me feel good. I think some of the youth there may not understand some of the procedures and how things happen. Some of the history Dianne, she represents, yes, a moneyed interest, but at the same time, her policies and what she stood for over the years is something that I think we can't respect. At the same time, all of the youth who were there trying to demonstrate that we want change, that we want progressive action. Again, if you haven't been, please go. I think you need to see what a Democratic convention is like. attended my first convention in 1968. I was 18 years old. I was in Chicago.
David, I was there too.
That was one to remember.
So,
All right, thank you.
I thought it was, I didn't listen a lot of the caucus, but I had a good time. I was Danny, was able to go, but somehow I was like calling her. But she couldn't even go. Then I found out before I left that she would, for me to be with me that she was in the hospital, so after I knew that, I just left. I didn't want to leave her behind, but I got a book for her, but I have to steal it. What's her name? Elaine signed it, but I think I got the wrong one. I think I have it in my car.
Oh, okay.
But it's because this one's not signed, and I got Elaine to sign for her.
Oh,
Also, I took him down a box of from Fresh Express. I got a box of lettuce, vegetables, and I took it to him on Friday. I told them that I had it, and they're like, "Where's the box? Where's the box?" Oh, I have it in my car. I have it in So on Saturday, when they had the big line, I took it to him and I took a picture with him. And he said, who's doing that? I go, the farm papers for Salinas.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for making that. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. For starters, I want to thank Patty and Ami and Natalie and Anna. I don't know who all do it. To make it possible for me to make it easy for me to go down. I don't think I've missed a single convention since I've been in California, and that's like 27 years. But if anybody wonders why I didn't get a proxy this time, it's because I was all prepared to go down on Thursday or Friday. And Wednesday night I passed out. And I've been in the hospital ever since until this afternoon.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry to hear.
I'm delighted to be here tonight. The doctors told me to go home and go to bed. Screw the doctors. They don't know. But I'm really pissed about missing this convention, but people have been so nice. Of course I got a call from Bill Lonnie right away, and found out I wasn't there, but I even had a call from Eric Baum. Wow. The chair, although I'm sure he knows perfectly well that I never supported him. So I'm going to have to be nicer about it. But anyway, yeah, everybody's been so nice, and thanks to all of you. I'm not going to miss another one of these.
Good. Mary Lou, anything you want to share?
Yes, this is the second convention I go to, and before I go to the convention, I usually go to the internet and get all the flyers they see by now. But I got to know a little bit more about the candidates, some are very good, there's 2 or 3 that keep good, so sometimes you don't really know who to vote for, but I enjoyed it. I heard several speakers there, and I'm glad that some of the ones I voted for won, that made me happy. And it was wonderful, I enjoyed the appetizers, the wines, the dancing, the music, the DJ. That's great, because after a long day, you really want to move your body, you really want to dance to that DJ. You get happy about who won. Sometimes you get a little sad about who didn't won, you know, but well, that's the way it is, you know. Some lose and some win. But anyway, I was happy to be there. We had several proxies that went with us, you know. Maria, who represents me as a proxy, actually was a proxy for somebody, so say, you know, so we actually had 3 or 4 proxies besides Patty. So we voted, you know, we had quite a few proxies that went, so you can be happy with that because it is vote from the central committee here.
Thank you for taking care of that.
Yes, thank you. And anyway, there's good candidates. We have good candidates that are, you know, there's 2 of them that I couldn't make my mind who I wanted to vote for, but I voted for one.
You gotta make a choice. Anybody over here? Sorry, anybody over here wants to share?
I'll get it in there one time later.
Okay, Dolly.
I can do the same.
Okay. Anybody then?
I'm not saying.
All right, and yeah, the last thing I just wanted to share is, again, I so appreciate our county where we can disagree with each other about, in this case, which candidate we supported, and we respect each other and are friends with each other, and hope we continue that. Because it's not that way everywhere.
No way.
Duke it out in the primary, once you make a decision, Democrats!
Just going on what you said, I wonder, is there any sense after it was over that so many of the state offices, there were no endorsements because there were so many wonderful candidates, but I'm wondering if even before the primary, if you get a sense that folks are going to say, hey, I'm going to put my support towards X candidate, because it felt like even at some of the local levels, there were like 4 progressives and 1 person who was considered the traditional one. Well, the 4 progressives, you know, each got 10%. So anyway, I don't know if that's something that comes out of the convention or if it's just wait and see at the.
Well, in terms of like the assembly and state senate ones that were not decided at pre-caucus, depending on what happened at the pre-caucus, some of them were settled, and some of them were not. And as far as people supporting somebody and then sort of galvanizing around one candidate for the primaries, I doubt that's going to happen just based on the conversations I had, but I think where that will happen is once we get into the top 2. And I think there were many of the races where, for the most part, we'll have 2 Democrats in the top 2, so not endorsed. Those of you who were there, no endorsement did really well. Vast majority with no endorsement. But hopefully that won't hurt us too much in those races because we have so much strength statewide. Let's see, other hands up on this? Yeah, David.
So to follow up your comment, no endorsement and the mood of the Democrats, I think it's something we all need to pay attention to. All right? The sense of this youthful wave that's going through our organization, we really need to pay attention to that. And in November, we can't, from now until we can't do politics as usual. We can't make assumptions about how people will vote because of who they are or where they come from. We have to get issue-based, we have to come up with solutions. We can't do this the way it's
Absolutely.
It's not that people are tired of what has happened. That was the expression. If you were an established Democrat, an established politician, and you didn't sense that, you're going to be out.
I think David makes a really good point that there were some key things. Number 1, people, especially the younger wave of voters, is very sensitive to where people make their money from. And if they smell a rat, they won't support him. I mean, so that's one thing. They want our candidates to be bold and not, kind of cautious. And yeah, they will not simply accept anti-Trump as much as they hate Trump. They hate him as much as we all do. But they want us to have our agenda that we're proud of, and that's what we're standing for. So, okay, I'm going to move on, and let's see, where the heck are we? Huh? I know. So I think think I'm actually going to suggest that we go to the campaign committee. I don't know if there's anything else you guys need to add, other than the budget. I'm looking at subcommittees. Is there anything else that you needed to add?
I thought this was gonna be somewhere on the agenda, so I just want to point
Go ahead,
something
do it right
out in my
now. This
time.
is your time.
So on Tuesday, March 6th, from 10 to 11 a.m., Andrew Gans is going to be at the Center for Change in Seaside. Now we have two. It's a meet and greet, and he is the candidate who is running against Devin Dickens. And he did gain the endorsement at the convention. So I know the timing is not great. It all has to do with, he's going to also be in Watsonville, and so this is a literal 2 hour time frame that he had. So I just would encourage anybody who can to attend, and you can get information from me or Sheila Keith. If you didn't pick up this sheet, there's tons of events going on. I'm just pointing out 2 of them. So the other one that I really want to point out is on the other side, and that is the March for Our Lives, which is in conjunction with the National March against against gun violence. That's going to be Saturday, March 24th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Window on the Bay. We're hoping that we get a permit to actually march to City Council. I don't know if that's been done, but this is sponsored by Indivisible. I was hoping that as Democrats we could co-sponsor it, or at least put our names to it, but the timing didn't work out. So I just encourage all of you to attend and support the youth. And then 2 other things that are sponsored by our Monterey County Democrats, which is March 31st, we've scheduled a voter registration training with the actual voter registration people, not just somebody like myself. That's March 31st from 12 to 2:30 at the C4C. And then Christine and I were talking about doing a volunteer fair, and we came up with a date which maybe now won't work. It's the same weekend as the good old days. So we moved it back to April because we felt like we should wait until endorsements happen locally for the June primary. So that is going to be, hang on just a second. It's April. What we have scheduled right now is April 14th. So I don't know, we may have to put our heads together, but the point of that would be to recruit volunteers for both the Peninsula and Salinas. And perhaps we might want to have a second one in Salinas to get volunteers to man the center, to do voter registration, and for candidates who've already declared to be there and perhaps get some candidates for yourself. Holly and I did it in 2016, and it was pretty successful. So, and Holly hopefully will help us. So
raise your hand. Oh, I like the sheet that Elena is referring to.
Yeah. Yeah, so keep this, and hopefully you can attend some of these other events that are put on by Swing Left.
Okay, you want the sheet? Or you want us to?
I know in Salinas, there's like the candidates are running, they have the Super Topics Library.
So that would be, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And they do like put a table like for all the candidates that are running, and then people going back and the next question.
Okay.
People, so you have to do a reservation.
Yeah, I would have done something with them one other time, so thank you, that's a good idea.
Okay, so is that it? Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna suggest that we go to item 13, because this is actually an action item, and we're running out of time. It's like 8:20. Yeah.
Are we establishing an endorsement committee?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we got to do that. We should do that first. So I have asked folks if they would be on an endorsement committee, and I've gotten some other indications of folks who are interested. What are the notes here? So I would like to suggest, I'm asking Karen to chair the committee. I've also talked with David Burnett's expressed interest. Let's see. I spoke with Mary Lou. She is willing to serve. I spoke with Bill Boozman. He is willing to serve. And I did not get a chance to talk to Alicia. I don't know if you would be willing to serve or not. You would, okay. So, okay. And Sonia, where are you? Oh, there you are. Would you be willing to serve also? And Natalia, so it's a big committee, but...
We had 7 last time.
Okay. And Natalia, you would also be willing to serve?
And David turned us down, which makes sense. Being that he's on development, he was saying it would be weird if he was on the endorsement and then doing our fundraising. So he did a great job chairing last time. I think we can all agree.
So that's the committee that I would like to suggest. This is for the primary. So they will be interviewing candidates and bringing a recommendation to us at our next meeting for superintendent of instruction, for sheriff, for the supervisors, and if we can find a Democrat to run for district attorney, that as well. And then we'll put together another committee for the fall campaign sometime this summer. So, did you want to say something, Bill?
It'd be helpful to have, as a beginning, the whatever we used for a questionnaire for the last cycle, and we'll go from there. If you could email all of us that are on the committee so that we have a group list, that would be great.
Okay. All right. If somebody else would like to join the committee, please let me know, and we can add Wes.
I would.
Okay, Wes, you can add you.
And there's all kinds of things to do, right? Last time it's a lot to cover.
Okay, so thank you. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn to our action. Yes, Dave.
I'd like to make a motion that we table item 13 for this to get.
All right, well, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there discussion on the motion to table? Maybe you could explain why you would like to table, and I see I can go back from Adam.
Yes, the item itself has not actually been considered by the city council. It's an idea that was floated by one of the council members as a possible action to take, but nothing has come before council. They haven't even seen it. So it seems inappropriate and entirely precipitous to ask this council, to ask this committee to endorse something which hasn't even been seen by the city.
Adam, you had your hand up?
Yeah. Hi folks, sorry I'm late, I was just over at the CLC making sure our Democrat brothers get endorsed, and sister. So the reason why I requested that this be brought before the Central Committee is because I'm actually the author of these initiatives. The City Council hasn't seen these because this isn't something that the City Council is actually trying to push, this is something that I'm trying to push as a citizen of Marina. The reason that I'm trying to push tax measures for Marina is because this is something that I've been working on since moving to Marina. One of my very first actions as a citizen of Marina was to go pull over and jam up our mayor about adding a half-cent sales tax on top of our 1% sales tax that we already have to fund city services. We haven't ever done that, but this year it seemed like an appropriate year given the financial constraints that our city is under, and also given the indications that I got from at least one and possibly 2 council members that they don't favor putting a ballot, a tax on the ballot. And as a citizen, I feel like we have a $900,000 a year unfunded pension liability breathing down our neck, $2.5 million that need to go into our roads every single year, and we need to add a fire engine company. We also have the blight that covers our city, and just as a citizen, I'm stepping up to take action to try to make this happen. In discussions with the mayor, the city manager, the city's finance director, and other people, I let them know that my intention with this is to give the city council the space to proceed with their process to consider putting a ballot measure together to try to raise revenues for the city. But that I wanted this as a backstop in case we couldn't get the necessary 4 council members to agree to put this on the ballot. I thought that the citizens of Marina should take this opportunity to fund the services that we demand of our city. And so this is meant to be a backstop. The whole thing was designed that if the city council does put something on the ballot, I'm just going to stop collecting signatures and let the city council proceed, because honestly that's a lot easier. I've got a lot better things to do than go stand in front of Target all day, right? But this is what I'm hoping to do. I have a bit of a time crunch, which is why I didn't go through what would have been probably the preferred channels to try to get this, endorsed by the Marina Democratic Club or endorsed by the city council, but this is just something that I'm pushing. The reason why I have a time crunch is because you have to count backward from election day, and you have all these hoops you have to jump through. So I've got until May 7th to turn in my signatures. So what I need is $1,200 to post this, May 7th. I need $1,200 to post this in the newspaper. It's two initiatives. One's a sales tax, one's a hotel tax. So I need $1,200. I don't have $1,200, so I'm trying to raise $1,200 to get these posted in the paper. Once they're posted in the paper, I give notice to the city that I posted in the paper. I can print petitions and start gathering signatures. In a best case scenario, if nothing goes wrong, it gives me 60 days to collect signatures. And I need to collect at least 1,000 signatures. To be safe, I probably need to collect 1,500. So that's why I'm asking for this to get approved tonight. I would love to have access to Mo so that I can check the signatures to make sure they're valid signatures, because if you're collecting them in front of Target, you don't know who's signing. So that's the reason for my request, and I apologize for not going through sort of a more lengthy preferred process. It's just I'm up against a wall trying to get these things moved.
Okay, thank you. Paula?
Yeah, Adam and I talked about this a little bit before the meeting. We at the Marine Club and in Marina were very surprised to find this on the agenda. It was talked about at the City Council retreat a couple of weeks ago. It was on the City Council agenda this last week. It's coming back before them. This hasn't been publicly discussed at all. It hasn't been discussed with our club members. And while we may support it in the end, it feels to me like this is too soon. I am adverse to getting access to Mo, specifically when we haven't even decided what our policy is on that. We're giving access to Mo before we've even got a ballot on, or a measure on the ballot, or an endorsement. And so I understand why Adam feels the way he does. But City Council member Dale Wharton brought this forward at the retreat. Adam also talked as a member of the public about the possibility of an initiative. But this is just, it's too early. We haven't even talked about the balance. We have 2 tax measures, possibly a cannabis measure, and the City Council needs to consider what is it reasonably going to be able to put on the ballot. There's been no discussion about this at all. So I don't support it, and that's why we were hoping we could table this to the next meeting so that we could, and I realize there's a time constraint, table it to the next meeting so the City Council and the public has a chance to weigh in about what they really want to see here.
So as the chair, I put it on here because I received a request from a member of the E-Board, shared it with the members of the E-Board by email and the Issues Committee. Generally, we as a party support tax measures, and I have to admit, my assumption was that there had been conversation from the Marina Club. So with this new information, the Marina Club not having been part of this, City Council not having actually, and again, I just assumed the council actually was moving this and we were being asked to support them. So I personally am not comfortable at this time. Adam, I mean, I'd like to help you. I'm sure you have, your arguments make sense in terms of the city has these needs and you need new revenue. But I think it would be precipitous for us to take a position on this before the council has. And certainly I think you need to work with your colleagues in Marina. That's my feeling. Karen, did you want to say anything?
Well, no, mine was personal because I stepped out of the room to take a call and I missed what the president of the club had to say. But I don't have to ask my question.
Okay.
I'm torn because I want to, well, for some things that you said, and I think I also made that assumption, yet it's, no.
Okay.
But no one said that. Nobody put it forth as though they were speaking for the Marina Club. I want to be clear.
So there is a motion to table. That doesn't mean we can't take this up again after there's more conversation and it could well come back. Do you have something you want to say?
Yes, regarding the request to have it considered, there's merit to it. I understand what she's saying as well, because you're kind of, the big dog is barking and the little guys are kind of having to follow, but at the same time, it could be presented in such that we, the central look at it and recommend a positive, you got positive feelings. Let them all look at it individually. They're all gonna do it anyway, but at least when somebody asks, well, who's looked at this? What did they say? They say, hey, forget it, or we're gonna wait till the little dog. You know, the guys at the upper level should be, like you here, should be able to give an opinion. Hey, we think it's good. Take a look at it. If you don't like it, it's okay. But if you like it, at least don't let time slip away, because time's important to get those signatures. That's key.
Well, I don't have a particular feeling about this one, but we do have a process that we've been asked to follow for other things that come up and are timely, and we can't seem, you know, we don't have a process for asking for immediate action. So I think probably the best thing would be for this to go to the issues committee, and the issues committee can then find out, you know, the process.
We did. We discussed it, we voted on it, we approved it.
Yeah.
So the merits of the resolution versus the timing and strategy is what I hear.
Yeah, but the issues committee didn't know that the Marina Club hadn't heard it.
No, well, I understood that it was coming from as an individual or potential candidate. But my orientation, the way I would look at this is that it's not necessarily endorsing how somebody votes. It's an endorsement of putting a resolution on the ballot.
And we're also being asked for
That, to me,
$100.
that is giving the public an opportunity to weigh in. That's how the public weighs in on issues, is by voting, whether for representatives or for the issues themselves.
So just a question, would tabling it prevent the collection of signatures?
No.
It would make it much more difficult.
Tabling it drags it out for another month.
Right.
Well, we're not
Timeline.
collecting signatures.
Yeah, but he is, so it makes it even more difficult.
So if there are allies in the room, if we are torn as a body, I mean, we'll see when we vote on the motion, but if there are people in the room who feel this has merit and want to support this effort, they can do that. Or we as a body may decide we want to give the $100 and we want to endorse it. But there are other options if, depending how the vote goes, you know?
Okay, so one thing I just want to say, since we are over time, if you speak, please make sure you're speaking to the motion, either why we should or should not table. Call.
Yeah, I want to underscore again, we have not firmed up our policy for the use of the mow. And this is specifically asking for it in advance of there even being a ballot measure. It's very early. I have a lot of issue with that. And in terms of the policy, I am intending that you don't get access to the mow until you've actually endorsed a ballot measure for a candidate. That's standard. We don't give candidates access to the mow until they've been endorsed by this body. So I just
That's actually what we're being asked to do, is to endorse this measure, this proposal.
There was a resolution.
What it is, it's not, we don't even have a measure. That's what I'm saying.
It's a resolution.
Petition
Okay, so you
drive.
gotta raise your hands, folks. I think Tyler is next on the queue, and then Adam.
Come back here.
Okay. Please keep the side conversations down. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Adam?
So, and I want to just go back. I do realize that it is sort of going against the normal process, because the normal process is the city council proposes something, and then we endorse it when it becomes real. What I'm trying to do is different. I'm trying to get ahead of an issue, because I feel like this is an example where we need leadership on this issue to say I'm willing to push revenue measures to get them on the ballot, and it's just in case the council doesn't, right? Like, I think this is the kind of thing that we want to support. We want to support people taking initiative, going out into the community, pushing issues, right? Trying to solve our community's issues. Certainly, just in case the people who are elected don't do it. And so that's why I'm pushing these. It's a backstop measure in case it doesn't get pushed. I apologize that I didn't go through the normal procedures, but this is unprecedented, what I'm trying to do. I've never seen anybody, as a citizen, qualify a sales tax initiative. Certainly, I've never seen anybody put a tax on the ballot with their name in the same election when they're planning on being on the ballot. That's kind of like a political suicide thing, I think. But for me, it's putting my money where my mouth is and trying to do right by my city that I think desperately needs money. So that's the reason for it. So I would hope that folks would support the measure, help me qualify for the ballot So getting out ahead of the issue, not waiting for the issue to come to us, exploring the issue. That's my request.
Okay, it's 8:38, Tom and Paula, so
So
please.
just one other procedural question. Has this been endorsed, since we're being asked to endorse, has this been endorsed by the endorsement committee or is it by the?
The issues, it has been supported by the issues committee.
Well,
The endorsement committee was just formed, so they couldn't have.
No, to answer your question.
Yeah, that's not.
Paula? And then Tyler, and then I'm going to ask that we vote on the motion.
I want to just say, to everybody here, including Adam, it's not that we don't necessarily support the city's need to increase revenue. The city is addressing this, Adam. The city did have a retreat. They made a specific statement that this is one of the things that they want to consider, that they are considering at their next meeting. The public hasn't weighed in. I just think it is too early, and there will be time if the council doesn't support. There's two measures here. They're going to support one or the other. I'm pretty fairly certain of that. But to suggest that this is just, that this isn't going to happen or it's not being addressed because you're just saying the city council's not. They actually brought this issue up at their retreat and these two specific things. So I think the city is trying to address it. And, most of the people on our city council are people that this committee has endorsed in the past. And I think we need to let them do the process and bring the public in.
Okay.
Tyler, you have the
I was
last
going to say,
vote.
for the folks that are in the Marines Democratic Club, is there, if the city council doesn't support it, does that change your view of the issue, or?
Well, I would think that the council's endorsement of a tax policy or tax measure would resonate with the citizenry, and they're thinking about, their own plans, and, we had a tax measure on our last ballot, and, it's still filtering through. So whether or not to put another tax measure, this is something I think council should, should debate, and they should have public hearings on it. So, yeah, I think if council decided not to submit this, that we should probably think about, what are the considerations, why are we doing it?
Oh, that's.
My sense is that I think laudable idea, and I also think that there's nothing stopping this idea from going forward, whether we endorse it now or at the next meeting. It's not like we're saying don't help Adam. In fact, you heard about it here. If you want to support the idea, get active, help Adam, help the signature gathered, and that allows us to then consider all the issues that come up between now and when it actually comes back to us. Consider it more like an actual endorsement of the measure at the time. So I don't see that one precludes the other. It's not like we're saying don't do this. We're just saying let's consider it when it's at the proper consideration.
So I'm kind of feeling like everything has been said, but if you need to say something, James?
Well, I think this hasn't been said yet.
Okay.
It refers all throughout here as this initiative, and the only thing I see specifically is raising a half-cent sales tax. But my concern is where is that money going? Is it going to go to the general fund? Are there going to be any restrictions? Can the mayor use it to throw a party? I'd like to see whether it's this month or next month, the actual language of the initiative rather than this vague, we're going to do a half-cent sales tax. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I'll email you right now.
Okay, maybe not this moment, unless we are going to vote to endorse this.
The motion is to table, and it was seconded. I think I'm going to call for the vote at this time. So if you are a delegate to the central committee, you can vote. If you are an alternate, and you're a primary, the person you're an alternate for is not here, you can vote. If you're not a member of this committee, or or if you're an alternate and your primary is here, please do not vote. Is that clear? So I think I'm just going to call for a show of hands. Those who support tabling it, please raise your hands and just hold them so I can count. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18. Okay, those who would oppose tabling it, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the motion passes 18 to 5. So we're going to table this, but that does not mean we won't support it in the future. And if any of you would like to help Adam, please contact him. And I would encourage Adam to work with the Marina Club and see if maybe they would be willing to help you. And we will be happy to consider this in the future. So I know Tyler and Dominic, we didn't get to you. I'd just like to give you a minute each, and then we're going to end the meeting. If you have anything you'd like to share from the convention.
I'll spare it.
Okay, pass.
Just a really quick thing, there's the California Democratic Council, they just had elections, nobody ever heard of it, but basically they're supposed to be the organization within the party that works to connect the state to like local clubs like us. So there's going to be changes made, there's people that got in there, so we might see a little bit of difference in terms of communication between the local and state level now, and then everything else is there.
Cool. All right, thank you all.